Well, one thing I was curious about, because Fontbonne was such a positive experience for you, and you graduated, you did actually work right after college for how long?
Let's see, it's hard, lots of things I can't remember. At least, I taught at least 2 or 3 years before I got, 2 years at least, or maybe 3 before I got married.
And because I've known friends of mine that became teachers, but then decided it wasn't something they wanted to do. I don't know if it was, from a responsibility or they felt too much pressure. But did you like teaching? Would you think you would have done it,
Oh, yeah. I would have been teaching, except when I was going to have Peter. I mean, I taught until I was going to have Peter, and once I had him, then, I never went back. I did substitute. I mean, I would fill in after the kids got a little bigger, but I never went back full time or anything.
But you did like it, and
I loved it.
Was it hard to not have not work?
No,
no, because you're so busy with these.
Right? Yeah, no, it wasn't that, But then after the kids all got bigger and nobody was around, and then I would do some. Maybe I just had I don't even know if I did it if I just had Teresa at home. But I would, they would call me once in a while in the public schools there and see, if I signed up as a substitute. And then I could do that if I was able to. That was the nice thing about being a sub. If you couldn't, you just couldn't, but that didn't mean they weren't going to call you back. But I did do that once in a while. But I really enjoyed teaching. I taught second grade, and I loved it because the kids were learning how to read, and that was just fantastic to watch them, develop into a good reader. By the end of the second grade, they were really well on their way to going further. So it was fun, and they were good. They didn't give you a lot of trouble, and you had some kids that didn't want to learn or anything, but basically second graders are easy to control, make things fun for them at times. I enjoyed it.
And I know your generation, a lot of the moms stayed at home and didn't work, and obviously with as many kids as you had, it would have been very difficult to work in that, but you never had any things like, wow, I wonder if I'd stayed teaching, or, I would have liked it, or not really.
I never even thought about it because it was so busy. I couldn't imagine me trying to teach or do anything and still have the kids. I mean, it was 24/7, So.
Well, speaking of work, after we were all grown and you started working at Zickel, what was it like working with your husband?
Oh, it wasn't bad at all.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I liked doing the work and everything, and there wasn't that much. I knew what I had to do, but I mean, as far as us having any, things with each other, as far as having to have a one-on-one to do this and that. I mean, I knew what I was supposed to do, and I did it, and I didn't try to get away with anything just because he...
He never wrote you up for anything.
No. No, I enjoyed working there, because I hadn't been working for years, and then I went back and did that, and I liked them.
Yeah. Well, it was very interesting to see you really, own that job and take on the responsibility. So that must have made you feel.
Oh, I liked
like
it.
That,
yeah. And I didn't have any problem with it. I thought it was good to do.
Yeah.
And when I looked back on it, I thought I should have probably gotten more involved in it, but I was afraid to get too much because I didn't know how long the responsibility would last. But I had a good time doing it. I mean, not a good time, but I mean, and like I said, I liked the the extra cash that it brought in. It helped you guys a lot.
That's right. Yeah, we were the beneficiaries of a lot of that. We're glad you worked as well. This is kind of a general area that I just kind of want to talk about. Is music and like your first memories of it. I know that you love jazz and Brubeck and and Sinatra and stuff like that. We'll get to that in a minute. But I mean, the first time you remember hearing music that you like identified with, you still remember now. Like, what was that?
Oh, probably. Well, music was always big in our family the whole time I was growing up. My brothers, who were older than me, they liked Dixieland or jazz. And music was in our family all the time. All of my brothers, older brothers and sisters, loved music, and so they didn't have the kind of music on 24/7 that they do on radios now. But we had records, and they would play records. But we also, and anytime then when TV came in, and they'd have a band come on and play on TV, that was a big deal, But basically, radio and records were our source of music, and the radio was on all the time.
And you mentioned Dixieland. What else do you remember from the younger, like what was played?
Oh, the jazz that I would listen to, you mean?
Or just, when you were listening to the radio, what was
Well, the popular songs, were then, and big band sounds, like,
Glenn Miller or something?
it was even a little bit later than Tommy Dorsey. I didn't really grow up with somebody like him. He was a little bit older thing than me. Frank Sinatra. Oh, and when I was in high school, they have the Prom magazine, and I don't know if they still have that in St. Louis or not, but every high school would have a reporter that would write a column about their high school, and they would submit it, and then Prom magazine would come out, and then you'd have, an article in there about your high school. And I was brought in as a reporter one time, and so my junior and senior year in high school, I was a reporter from Rock High, which was St. Alphonsus, for the Prom magazine. So I had to write an article every month. Well, if you were one of those reporters, when celebrities came into town, as a group, we could go down and interview them. So I got to see it. A lot of big time entertainers. Frank Sinatra was making his comeback then. Oh my gosh, was that ever cool? And I got to go interview him. As the group.
This would have been early 50s. Real early 50s, right?
And he sang for us, and oh my gosh, it was the neatest experience to see him, because he was always my favorite anyway, and there he was sitting there, But we had other people too that we could interview, and then you'd go back and write it in your article for the next month. So that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed doing that.
Were you nervous when you asked him a question?
No.
No? You had your questions ready?
Yeah. But he was, oh gosh, that guy, the way he sang, I just loved his voice. So that was a lot of fun. And I can't remember some of the other people that I got to see, but it was a good thing to see a lot of them that would come through, and they'd give all of us reporters, we'd go in the room and we could ask questions, or, they'd talk and stuff, and now ask me who all they were. I can't remember, but I know he was a real important one for me. But there were others too, but I can't remember who they were now.
And since you were in college, when rock and roll starting, but the popular thing at that time, pre-rock and roll, and even the first few years of rock and roll, jazz was way more popular, and that's when you got into Brubeck, right?
In college, did you say?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, Brubeck was coming back pretty. He was coming around then. That was really popular. You're right. That's how come I first got to know him, was in college, not high school.
Right.
Dave Brubeck.
Right.
Yeah, that was the big deal. And I really liked that modern jazz. We called it modern, I think, jazz then.
Right.
And I liked it a lot. And so did Larry. The two of us really, when we started dating, we both liked the jazz. And
what about live shows? Did you see any live shows back in those days?
I'm trying to remember.
Not necessarily even famous artists.
No.
I just mean like go see bands.
Yeah. Not too much.
It's mostly records.
Yeah, mostly records. Yeah. Occasionally there'd be a group. We didn't go to too many. I didn't go to too many groups. And a lot of them performed. Like they do. I don't know if they still do it that much, but it was a big deal if someone would come to like Kiel or you know, and something in a big band, but I never went to many of those, because living out in St. Anne, I mean, unless I had a date or something, but I mean, I wouldn't be traveling from St. Anne's and back into the city.
The dances or whether it's college or anything like that, they didn't have live bands necessarily. They were all records.
Only occasionally, a special occasion or something like that. But most of the ones I remember weren't live. They were, I guess, I don't know what they did, records, I guess, or something. But I guess once in a while there'd be one. Yeah, for live band for a dance or something. Yeah, that was always fun. But I didn't go to too many of them because if I didn't have a date, and I didn't date all that much when I was in high school. But the only thing you could go to was something that would just be a bunch of girls going and guys, you know, but not on specific dates because I didn't really date that much in high school.
What about those the parties you were talking about, the wild parties in Stiff College and or whenever? And there's lots of I'm just envisioning a lot of drinking, smoking, and jazz records being played. Is that
well? They weren't a lot of jazz. The records.
They played more popular stuff. Then?
They really didn't play that much. No, we didn't really have music at the parties.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I guess it was a big party maybe, but a lot of the parties that I went to, especially in college, were. Fraternity parties once in a while. I would date somebody that was in it. But then when I started dating Larry, he had a group of friends, and they had a little fraternity thing, but it wasn't a recognized one, I don't think. Remember. But anyway, we used to go to parties, and they'd have records sometimes, but nobody really danced a lot or anything. You know, that dancing wasn't that big a deal for them. The guys didn't really like to dance that much, I guess. They liked to... But they were fun. They were really nice guys, and it was fun.
Well, speaking of dancing, do you remember when you used to take dance lessons?
Oh yeah,
And, and how you had to get there, right? You had to get yourself there, right? Is that right?
Take a bus.
So, what did you feel like when you were dancing?
Oh, I don't know. I loved it. I just got into it, you know, and it was fun. I liked to do it. I didn't do much tap, but I did mostly toe ballet, you know, and stuff. And then when the new what they call modern dance came around, then I learned that. I did like modern dancing. I thought that was really cool. Then when I was in college, it seemed like one of the classes, I don't know, it was part of our gym. You had a choice, and I think I did take some modern dance class one time there, just on a semester thing. But that was fun.
Do you remember the first time you had to get on the stage?
No.
No.
Well, I started when I went to dance school since I was like in kindergarten, first grade. So I don't remember though, but I do remember when I was in high school and I did a lot.
Did your schools have performances?
What?
Did the school have performances or?
Well, once in a while the school would have a play or something that had something like that, but they didn't have dance shows or anything like that. But yeah.
Did Grandma and your mom and Dad, did they get to see you perform?
Dad never. I don't know that he ever did really go to see me, but Mom always would come. Not when I got into high school, more or less, but you know when I was younger. Yeah, oh yeah, she was encouraged. She encouraged me to keep at it.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it though. I think I was supposed to be pretty good, but I don't know.
I'm sure you were.
Huh?
I said I'm sure you were.
Well, I don't know. That's what I was told, but I don't. I don't know how. I do remember that I danced on the Admiral. Well, when we lived in the city, we my sisters even went to dance. But every summer, on the Admiral, they always had dance a certain time, and dance schools would perform, and I did that several times. And then it seemed like I did try out for the Muni one time, but and then I don't know. I don't remember going anything real special. I didn't dance like you did, like you did all the time.